order. And on our agenda today is a request from County Clerk's office for, I believe she has an employee, Janice. Is Miss Martha gonna retire? Is that what's going on? So you're gonna be replacing her?
Yes.
And you would like to, if I'm understanding this right, you'd like to keep her on through the election?
Well, not through the election. What's gonna happen is, next Friday is her last day. So, what I want to happen is to be able to bring her back maybe a week before we start early voting, and let her work through the election from that point.
Okay, so we're talking what, 2 to 3 weeks?
Three weeks max.
Okay. Have you started to advertise for someone to replace her yet?
Not yet.
So basically what you're asking for is for someone for basically it's to be considered a part-time person to help with the election, which will be in November.
We start early voting mid-October, and then we'll need Martha during that 2-week early voting period, and then the week of the election. So we can finalize everything.
And this will help you get the person trained for the next election.
I hope. I'm hoping.
Okay. So what are you wanting to do? Pay her at the hourly wage that you're paying her at now during that time when she comes back, or what?
I would like that, since she's putting herself out to come back and help me, but I'll leave that up to you guys. But I really would like for her to have that salary.
Okay. Kelly, do you happen to, did you know about any of this in advance?
A little bit, yes.
So what would it take to do that approximately?
Well, I didn't do any totals because I didn't know what.
Yeah, I understand. I thought she was gonna maybe stay on while you train this new person, but, okay.
Because she's actually moving to Terrible. And during the election time, she's gonna stay with a cousin or someone while she's helping me during that time.
Okay.
What did you say, 3 weeks? Is that what you said?
Well, we're looking at probably about 3 weeks. Now, you probably wouldn't have any health insurance for that, or no more retirement, I wouldn't think.
Well, we'll probably be mandatory to do the retirement.
Okay.
We have to pay the benefits on her. I'll ask about that, but just the salary at that hourly rate that she's currently at, is gonna be a little less than $2,000 for 3 weeks. And then the payroll taxes will be about $150. And if we have to do retirement,
But you'll have those exact figures for the finance department if we refer it over to them.
yes.
Mr. Clay, did you understand all that?
Most of it.
Okay.
Don't wake him up, okay?
Okay.
Not having for a
I'm
vote.
gonna have to have a second there. Hopefully. Bill,
What?
thoughts?
No, I'm aware of what you're doing.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts on it, what we should do? Anybody else in Quorum Court?
election year is going to be a busy, busy time for Janice's office. Busy time, maybe one of her biggest. I think we need to give her what she needs to support, because this, next 4 months, going to be critical. I think we need to give her what she's asking for.
Okay. Anybody else? Do I have any type of motion from this?
I'm killing gnats. I ain't got time to be, I can't be bothered with business.
You started to starve between today and yesterday. You're the only one that can make a motion.
Yep, you're it.
Oh, that will make
Are
it.
you kidding me?
Mr.
Am I the
Clay,
lead person?
You and Alvin are the only two on the committee here.
All right. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Justice Clay, can you second?
Yeah, second.
All right.
Where's your second?
We have a motion and a second to send this over to the Finance Committee to allow Janice to hire a Martha Best back part-time during the election season to help her train the new girl and work the office. So with that, we will send this to Finance, and we'll make a decision on that, and that will be next Monday. So, all right. Do we have any other business we need to discuss in personnel today?
Justice, I'm not on the committee, but Justice Norvell called me wanting to talk a little bit about our county attorney and the circumstances revolving around that position, and our county attorney's recent actions involving the lawsuit against the Quorum Court. Like I said, he called and tried to call me 3 times today. Our de facto attorney for the Quorum Court in the county actually falls to the deputy prosecuting attorney's office. We did hire and open a slot for the county attorney, and we put it under the judge's office. But the fact that he's involved in litigation against the Quorum Court, we've actually been advised by 2 different sets of attorneys that that's a possible ethics violation, and we might consider filing an ethics violation with the State Law Board. I've also been advised by counsel that the fact that he's working as personal counsel for the county judge, and has for quite some time before the judge was elected in his position, is a direct conflict of interest. And Justice Norvell just called and wanted to express all that today, and he's not here, so I'm not on the committee, but I'm expressing exactly what he told me earlier this morning. And I don't know where he was actually expecting to go with that, but it is a concern. I mean, in this latest filings, Jeremy Thomas participated in a new affidavit that was filed and filed against the Quorum Court with all these allegations, which I think are baseless and untrue myself, but to be determined by a judge in circuit court. It's just a little disturbing to see such activity against a person that we're paying. So there.
We can solve that like we solved the last county attorney that we had. We didn't appropriate any money for him for the next biennium, so we could simply not appropriate his salary starting in January, and that would solve it.
I'm throwing it out there on the table for discussion, since Justice Norvell brought it to me and couldn't be here today because of the COVID issue.
I have heard concerns about this also. And I actually called Finance Director yesterday and asked her, because I knew that there had been some funds expended to pay Jason Owens, and then the second attorney, which is Kimberly Dale, or is it Kimberly Dale? Funds have been expended to pay her. And that's
On the
about-
judge's behalf.
On the judge's behalf. That's about, total about $3,100 out of what was appropriated to pay Fort County Attorney's slot. So that means that there's only about 2,500 left in that account, which is not enough to finish out the complete year. So I was looking as if that would fall back to finance on whether you were going to appropriate or recommend appropriation of more money to pay.
Have you talked to the county judge any at all about this
Or have
situation?
not?
Have you talked to him today about whether he was coming to our meeting or not?
No,
Because
sir.
he's not here again.
No, I did not. Everyone is notified. I'm sure he got the one call just like we did. And the agenda came from his office. So, I'm sure that he knows there was a meeting.
Well, again, in those filings, the new filings in the lawsuit against the Quorum Court that he's filed, he alleges his lack of information, lack of inclusion, lack of knowing what's going on. And I just don't understand how he can know what's going on if he doesn't come to our meetings and participate.
I agree. Like I said, I, as Justice Nelson stated, this can be taken care of in the next biennium if we elect to not appropriate funds. The question is, are we going to consider appropriating more funds in this year? Because if he's already expended the funds that we've appropriated, I understand he can move other funds in his line item, but are we going to appropriate more since he's used that to pay other attorneys?
To my knowledge, I know he hasn't approached me, and I don't know of any other. You've got you got all 4 finance committee members sitting right here. I don't know that he's approached any of us and requested any additional funds for legal fees or attorneys. He hasn't with me.
Has not.
No.
I was assuming,
I'm going to assume
he
as
just,
chair that we have hired an attorney. And I'm going to ask, and we'll discuss this and let the committee decide, but have we appropriated funds to pay for our attorney?
No, we have not.
Okay? I would like to see a motion come out of this committee, if someone wants to make it, that we create the slot to pay our attorney in the Quorum Court budget and authorize funds to pay him. Because I think we're going to be, I'm not so sure this is going to be a short deal. We may have to expend some more funds to do this. I don't think we've expended anything yet, but I know we're going to have to.
The time will come. This latest filing was done August 5th, last Wednesday. And then I'm not sure the legal length that our attorney has to respond to the latest filings. I think, and this is not a legal opinion, but I think we have 30 days, and I have not spoke to our attorney about that fact.
Okay.
But that's just to file a response, and there's been no action taken by the judge on this case.
He did tell you that he was going to call you back and discuss it with you.
I think he wants to discuss it with several of us on the court.
Okay.
The point by point allegations in the new affidavit.
Okay. Well, like I said, I would like to see a recommendation out of our committee, since we do have an attorney, that we send it over to finance to authorize funds to pay for Nate Steele as our attorney. Ms.
That'd be
Nelson, what
up
would
to
you think of
Justice
that?
Nelson and his thoughts.
How much you think that we need?
I wouldn't have a clue. How long is this gonna last? So far, we haven't really,
When you talked with him, what did y'all agree on? Anything?
our fee is $200 an hour. How many hours? He hasn't billed us anything yet. About all he's done so far is prepare the response to the initial suit that was filed. And then that basically asked for dismissal. And did not involve a lot of time, and I wouldn't expect a lot of money either one yet. But if we keep getting continued filings, it continues to add up on the hours on both sides.
This lady from Paragould that's representing the judge, has asked for a declaratory judgment.
That was the last filing on last
Which was-
Wednesday.
Yeah, I read that. So the only thing she's asking is for the judge to decide in her favor. That was what I got, was a difference in those two, the initial filing and the second filing. That's the only big difference I saw in those was, come on, judge, rule in my favor.
So
So,
there was some allegations made that we had done some things that should make it look like the judge should decide in her favor, or their favor. And we'll have to answer those allegations. So, I would think that we need to, if we don't expend the funds, they will come back at the end of the year. So I would think we need to put enough in there to cover if we go on for a while.
We'd have to in doing the budget, we'd have to do a new appropriation for 2021. And honestly, I really expect this to carry on into 2021 and maybe for a while. Again, depends on how many more additional filings we could have. But I don't know, we've spent,
well, 25 hours, Justice White, would be $5,000.
mhm. I think that would probably be a reasonable
That at least
starting
would-
point.
That would get us through the end of this year, 30 days to bill us and all that stuff, so I'll make a motion, we do $5,000 to pay our attorney fees.
Judge,
Well, you're talking about creating a new slot? Is that?
yes, but we'll have to have it. We don't have one right now. Am I
Kelly, any
correct,
thoughts?
Kelly?
About which line item?
Well, about how to do this, create a new slot, create a line item just for expenditures.
Well, that's how the county attorney is paid. It's just a professional
I was gonna say,
services
why not
line.
just professional fees?
Yeah, the
But under the
line,
Quorum Court instead of
Under
the.
the Quorum Court's budget.
Yeah.
there is a line item under the county judge's office budget that is just labeled contract labor / legal advisor. And that is where the money for the county attorney's salary was appropriated. So we could do the same type of thing under the Quorum Court's budget.
Okay.
Okay,
That's better than creating a slot.
that's fine.
Yes.
So is that what your motion is?
Yes, oh, exactly what my motion was.
Okay. Justice Clay, do you have a second on that?
Can you second that motion, Justice? It's to hire an attorney for us.
Was wondering when you said a moment ago, engage for us.
Yes.
We're involved in a lawsuit. We have an attorney, and we need to appropriate some money to hire that attorney. Justice Nelson has made a motion, and it would require your second to move forward.
Good.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. The ayes carry. Any opposed? Sorry. The ayes carry. So we have a motion to send it over to finance to create a line item to.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you wanted something to come from this committee. There's another net. What is it? Did we do what you wanted us to do?
Yes, that's what I was looking for.
Let me ask a question. Could we defund part of our current attorney's, Jeremy's salary, say at the end of this month, have it defunded for the balance of this year? If nothing else, it would let him know that we are aware of what's going on, talk to us. It would make him aware that we're not happy. We can always put it back. Just my thoughts.
So on a legal basis, the Quorum Court is responsible for the appropriation of monies.
That's correct.
we have the legal authority to amend the budget as we go through the year.
That's correct.
Those amendments can include additions or takeaways, either direction. And so the answer to your question, could we amend the budget for 2020 and zero out that particular line item in the budget? Yes, we have that authority to do that. It would require a move by the Finance Committee and then a vote of the full court to amend the 2020 budget. But we could do that. I'm not suggesting that's good or bad. I'm just saying, yes, you asked me, could we? And the answer is yes.
Is there a better way to do it?
Maybe a conversation from someone on the Quorum Court to the county attorney advising him that he should not be participating in that. Maybe that would suffice.
Well, I mean, right at the moment, we've had two different sets of attorneys tell us that we could file an ethics violation with the state law board.
He's probably not aware of that. He's never been a county attorney before or anything. I would think just a conversation with him or a letter or something to bring that to his attention, then where he wants to go from there, that would be his decision, if he wants to continue.
So,
I saw the wheels going.
yeah, so when Jeremy took the position as county attorney, did he disclose the fact that he was the judge's personal attorney?
No.
I don't think he ever filled out an application or went through an interview process. I think the judge just said, this is our new attorney.
Well, so,
Am I incorrect?
You're
It's
correct.
actually a contract labor position, if
But
I'm
we did-
understanding it right.
we do not pay him through payroll, correct?
So it's a,
Yeah, we didn't
And-
hire him, he was given to us.
and I actually asked someone from AAC about this situation, and they point blank asked me, is the money paid out of the judge's budget, or where does it come from? They said, if it comes out of the judge's budget, he is the judge's attorney. He is hired to represent the judge. Now, that should mean the county also, and as another attorney explained it to me, he said he is in a similar situation. He represents a city. He said, if the mayor and the council were trying to sue each other, he said, I would back out, look at him and say, you need to hire your own attorney and you need to hire your own attorney, because I am paid by the city to represent the city. Conflict of interest is a basic principle that's taught in law school. So my answer would be, he should know that.
I would agree with Justice Ash. I mean, it's not real difficult. I mean, we're all seeming to go through the motions, and especially, he is the judge's personal attorney. He does work for CNI. I mean, I did not, at the time when we hired him, I knew that. I didn't really think that it would become a conflict, but this is a conflict. I mean, he has a personal conflict. I would think that he would see just in those two things. I mean, how can you?
And that's the reason I'm saying that. The county judge is not writing him a personal check. The county is writing him a check.
Yeah, but the judge's
So-
business is writing him a check.
Right? Yeah, and I'm leaving that part out of it. I'm saying the county taxpayers are paying him to work for the judge. And that should be a key right there, that hold it. If the county taxpayers are paying me, I don't need to be taking sides. They need to find their own attorneys. Which, he's went out and hired another attorney, but he's still getting advice from this attorney.
So before I was on before I came into office, when Judge Brassfield was here, did you guys was there a different county attorney?
No.
Judge Brassfield chose of her own volition to not hire an outside counsel. And quite honestly, you know, she inherited the position. She was the administrative assistant. Cindy worked with Judge Brassfield in the office under Judge Randy Carney. And when Judge Randy Carney passed away, and we had, well, you know, for a while we'd had David Burnett as county attorney, but our services got limited. And so we honestly defunded that position.
Oh, okay.
And then Terry, Miss Judge Brassfield, chose not to fill it. Now, we offered to let her hire an attorney to do the ordinances, the resolutions, and I'm sure Cindy can attest, how many times did y'all prepare them yourselves?
Every month.
Yeah, Cindy and Judge Brassfield did all the preparation of all the ordinances, all the resolutions. There were a couple of times that they got a little more complicated and they asked for help, if I'm not mistaken, from the Arkansas Association of Counties. But most of the time, they did it themselves. It was Judge Brassfield's choice. When Judge Nelson was elected, I actually discussed that with him and told him he might want to consider somebody to help with that, because Dan Ritchie was an angel from heaven as far as the Quorum Court was concerned, because he always held the county's best interest at heart. He attended every necessary meeting. He prepared every ordinance and every resolution, and we just weren't getting that from others. I mean, Judge Ritchie basically spoiled us. And so when Judge Nelson was elected, I told him he might want to consider somebody like a Judge Ritchie and see if he would get some help with the ordinances, with the resolutions, you know, with the insurance issue, if we needed to be represented. Judge Dan Ritchie, you know, represented us in the jail fee issues in so many cases. So we do need counsel, but when Judge Nelson and I think we're having those discussions in his early weeks, I don't think either one of us ever thought we'd end up with a county judge suing the Quorum Court
Right, well.
and putting the county attorney in the middle.
Right, I did not think I mean, I've known Jeremy for a long time, and I've known that he does work for, the judge. I mean, I knew it at the time and did not have any issue with it, but I'm with you, we never really thought that we would get where we are.
We would end up here.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Jeremy then. I don't know him other than professionally with us here now. I have no personal anything, either direction with Jeremy other than his professional treatment and taking care of the county. But it really does seem to have become a conflict of interest at this point. We've got nobody looking after the Quorum Court.
Well, that was and that you answered my next question as to, well, who wrote, the resolutions and ordinances.
But he's been taking care of it.
Well, no, I
for-
mean, before, when you didn't have a county attorney. So.
Before it was Cindy and Judge
Yeah,
Brassfield.
and as it was pointed out to me by an AAC member, most counties, the deputy prosecuting attorney is their county attorney.
That's set by Constitution.
Okay.
So we could revert back to that. Our problem is that most of the time our deputy prosecuting attorneys, they carry a very heavy caseload. So it's hard to get them here. But that may be something we want to explore. Yes, Justice Clay.
What happened to, well, no, what happened? Can you talk to each other? That's it. Is there an understanding between the brothers? The other members?
Between the judge and the Quorum Court.
Right. I mean, you're making, someone said a moment ago, you're making a decision that's best for the court. And so if that's the case, you know what you want. And is there a much different from what you want than the court?
I would say it's a pretty pretty big gap to bridge. It has to do with, the action was initiated by the county judge. It has to do with the fact that he thinks that the Quorum Court is trying to usurp part of his authority. And it's a difference of opinion. We believe we're legal in doing everything we've done. He believes that we're trying to take away part of his authority. And probably the only way to settle it is some sort of a legal ruling on it. That's my impression of the situation. I think it's past talking about. There was some efforts early on in trying to bridge the gap and work out and reassure that that wasn't the case from the Quorum Court standpoint. But it did not accomplish anything as far as resolving the situation.
If that's it.
I'm going to mention one other thing. Kelly sent me an email this morning, and actually she referred it over to Jeremy Thomas. There's an executive order that was signed by the president last week.
Regarding payroll taxes.
AAC told her that they did not represent us on that. We may need to talk to an accountant at some point in time. Because their AAC would not advise her to talk to either our legal counsel or an accountant. So we just giving y'all information. I don't know who all got that email, but do we stop collecting payroll taxes?
That was
Or-
effective September
It
1st.
starts September 1st, yes.
Today is August the 11th.
Well,
So they need to get clarification.
In 2 weeks.
We want everybody to know that that is coming. I don't know how many folks it's going to affect, but I know that, if I remember right, there's a certain ceiling where that doesn't affect people. They still collect taxes.
$100,000 a year. If you're under 100,000, you're supposed to be exempt. But my understanding is, in his executive order, there was no clarification about whether that would be collected at a later date or not.
That's exactly correct.
So that's the
And
catch to it.
My thought is on it, I don't want them to stop collecting mine because I'm gonna have to pay it back later. Keep collecting it and I'll just file at the end of the year and get back. But I did want to make sure everybody knows about that. Kelly is doing the research on it, so I'm assuming when she finds out what we need to know, we'll get an answer.
Have you referred it to Jeremy at the moment?
As a matter of fact, I think I was copied on the email you sent to Jerry.
Yeah.
And Jeremy may well refer you to an accountant himself. I don't know.
All right.
I have a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Well, you can go ahead.
Are you gonna move forward with making it mandatory for new hires to be direct deposit?
That is something that has been brought to my attention. Under federal law, we cannot make anyone who is getting a check go to direct deposit. But we can set a policy that all new hires will use direct deposit. And what would happen, we have approximately 30 employees that get a paper check. But in the future, as people retire, leave employment, for whatever reason,
Attrition.
and they're replaced, then new hire would be required to go on direct deposit. I have talked to some of you about it, just asked if you had an overall objection to it or what you thought, and I kind of got the impression that nobody really objects to that. But I guess it's something that we do need to look at from a personnel committee standpoint and make a decision on.
Yeah, that's not finance, that's personnel.
Yes. I know, we're getting new software and they would like to, as people come in that new software, to convert everyone to direct deposit. Does anybody have any thoughts on it? I'm opening this up to everybody and then,
Of the 30 people that we've got, or approximately 30 people that we've got, I bet most of them are like myself and just been around so long that they kind of grandfathered into it. They were always getting a check, they just never changed it. I bet most of those 30 wouldn't even mind going to direct deposit, but I think we ought to require all new hires. I think it's just a good policy move. I was not given the chance with my corporate. I don't think any other corporate will give you that opportunity. Business is business, and that's effective
I
and
wish the
efficient
city
business.
would go to direct deposit. Yeah, that's just, it's a question for everybody. Does anybody else have an opinion on it?
I would think you'd want to make it mandatory on any new employees.
Okay. Justice Nelson, what do you think?
I don't even know if I get paid or not. I never see a check, so.
I wish I had that much money.
When you got all the money in the world, it doesn't make any
It's
difference.
exactly right. It's just another little
long.
chink in the
The
pie.
only check I've seen is when they send out for mileage. And when I get in, I'm always like, what's this for? And then I read the stub. You have
I
a,
like it. I think it's good, clean. Nobody loses it, nobody steals it.
is that a motion?
Oh, were you looking for sure, I'll make that motion.
Okay. So the motion is that we would, all new hires would be direct deposit.
Mandatory direct
Mandatory
deposit.
direct deposit. And,
Effective when? Is there need to be an effective date?
Do you want to wait and do this with the new software, or?
Well, it just needs to be effective sometime after it passes the full court. So we can make it January 1, or we can make it with the January
Let's
1.
make it January.
January 1 would be clean.
Okay. So if the motion is to make the all new hires mandatory direct deposit effective January 1, 2021. Mr. Clay, did you second that one?
Pay attention, Mr. Clay.
Sir?
But he said second.
He said
All right.
second.
So we have a motion and a second. I'm not going to ask for other discussion because we already had discussion. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. That will become a part of our, I guess we need a resolution to make that part of our
Personnel
policy handbook, so that's the motion that will go into effect January 1st, pending approval of the full Quorum Court. Now, you got a question?
Well, my question was, if this motion for the part-time person goes to finance and passes, do we need to create a slot for that person? Because there is no slot.
Do we have a contract labor area in her budget?
Well, I don't think she's going to qualify as a contract labor. I talked to AAC about it, and she gave me a little test, several questions that you can ask if someone qualifies as an employee and you have to pay them through payroll versus contract labor. And I think this situation, she's going to need to be considered as like a part-time / maybe seasonal employee and pay her through payroll.
Isn't there something under my elections for like part-time help? Because some years ago, we had the okay to hire part-time help, and there was,
Well, your current budget, you've got a line that is for election overtime, but that's for.
that's for the current workers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's talking about a slot.
There was
I think we created a slot. We just haven't funded it in the last.
Several years.
Yeah.
Well, Janice's actual budget has 6 slots, and they're full. Now, when you have a retiree, if you replace that with a full-time person, then there will be no slot to bring an employee back for seasonal or part-time. So I just want to.
So you think we need a new slot?
I think so. Like the collector's office, they have, the seasonal slots for their tax people. They're empty yet funded. And then that way she has a
So-
place to bring someone into.
We could create the slot and just not necessarily fund it unless she comes in and asks for, but in this particular case, we would fund it for the 3 weeks. And then next year, the slot would remain there if, in fact, we had another situation arise and Janice needed help during that time.
Yeah, the slot would remain, until you close it, but it wouldn't be funded unless you funded it, during budget, so.
Okay.
Now, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Were we talking about part-time people on this direct deposit? Or were we just talking about
It will
full?
be all mandatory across
Okay,
the board.
that's my question is, you take these people that are working elections like in Janet, you take people that are just doing yard work, you take part-time people, no bank accounts, nothing.
Didn't you told me they had a way that they could set it up to pay
A card.
people that don't have a bank account?
Yeah, there's different options. If you don't have a bank account, you can put
As
it
long
on.
as it's covered, that's all I care.
They can actually issue them like a debit card, and when it's similar to a debit card, they can go to any ATM and get the money out,
Okay.
but it's paid direct deposit to that, and then they
Okay.
use the debit card.
Good deal.
Okay.
Your telephone is flashing.
Yeah, but I don't want to answer it right now. I'll stop it from flashing.
Just a
Okay.
fly.
So we do need a seasonal position for the county clerk's office, a seasonal part-time position. You wanna,
Did we not do that a while ago?
no, what we did was we authorized her to redo it, but we didn't create the position. We gotta create a position and it will be permanent, but we may not fund it at the beginning of the year. All we did was say she could do it, we need a position.
Well, if we said she could do it, she couldn't do it without a position.
Well, I guess it's all in the wording.
I mean, it doesn't, I'm not saying it has to be, I just worry that if we're gonna have to pay her through payroll, we probably legally need a spot to put her in.
Let's just say we need to amend that motion to say it's a position.
Okay. Whatever you wanted to say, that's fine. I thought we had taken care of it.
I have established that, Justice Nelson. So we've amended it. Mr. Clay, would you second that amendment?
I second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? I'm assuming you can have that written so that we'll pass it with the Quorum Court, so.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other business?
Let's get out of here.
Is that a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned.
I second that.
Yes, I'll take that second.
Go for it, Steve.
Exactly.